Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth. In the U.S., it is Friday, August 2nd, 2024. We're visiting a rural elementary school in eastern Uganda. Despite limited resources and funding, they remain committed to helping the children in their area. Also in Uganda, we're taking a trip to a special site of cultural and historical significance. Learn more about the opening of this new tourist attraction. Sound impacts us in many different ways, but did you know major diseases such as cancer can actually be healed through sound? Hunger protests in Nigeria have turned deadly. Widespread insecurity and inflation has left many struggling to make ends meet. And some good news for parents flying in the U.S. A proposed rule would eliminate fees for families wanting to sit together on their flight.
This is Calen Gipp, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. In rural eastern Uganda, the Good Shepherd Nursery and Primary School continues to operate despite facing limited resources. UNN field messenger Mwandha Michael brings us the story.
Hello, this is Mwandha Michael, UNN field messenger, reporting from here in Jinja, eastern Uganda. Today, we decided to move around Mayuge district, visiting various villages, where we came across nursery and primary school in the rural village.
The school is called Good Shepherd Nursery and Primary School.
Yes.
It is formed in Ndaiga village, Ndaiga parish, Kitera sub-county, Mayuge district.
Yes.
The school started in 2021 from nursery to P5. Now we go up to P7, primary 7, and in P7 we have 9 children.
So where are the class P7?
P7, they started from that class.
P7 started from this structure, you see. They have primary 7, and they sit under that empty, unfinished structure. Yes. These structures is a primary school in Ndaiga village, which is in Mayuge district. As you can view, it's not yet roofed. They're using papyrus in the old fashion, the way we used to live in 1950s and 60s. Yes. Thank you for listening to me today. I hope to see you next time. Mwandha Michael, UNN reporting.
The Kikalu Rock Hill is a site of cultural and historical significance, featuring unique caves in eastern Uganda. UNN field messenger Dianne takes us to the official opening of this tourist attraction.
Hello, this is Dianne, Field Messenger for United Network News, reporting from eastern Uganda. Recently in the Pasogo region, the chieftain promoted several tourist sites and a group of us took a 2-hour bus trip to go and see the official opening to the public. As today was a celebration, we were dressed in traditional gomos. On arrival to the site, we are greeted by skilled children doing traditional dancing. As this site was officially being opened and celebrated, it was in attendance by the First Deputy Prime Minister. And we can see here the Parliament official giving out 5,000 shillings to the young dancers as they entertain the guests. Next drawing our attention were a group of ladies playing tunes from handcrafted flutes. They had just come from the cave area, and it is said that these are the ones that talked to the ancestors through the sound vibrations that are being played on their instruments. Looking up, we can see the spiritual lady of the rock. Along a pathway, we did run into a young man wearing traditional bark clothing. Material was made from the bark of the tree, and he is showing us that on his hat and on the side of his clothing are shells. These are an expression of the Ugandan culture. We did come across a scene when the lady of the cave and the man wearing traditional bark clothing came together for a moment. They were speaking to each other in loud primal sounds, exchanging the vibrations in expression as it would have been in the earlier times before the language. That's all we had for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. Our website is up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hey, I'm Kirsten from Switzerland.
This is Wayne from Tucson.
Hi, my name is Desmond from Ghana.
I am Claudia from Dawsonville, Georgia.
I'm Mikey from Pretoria, South Africa.
Hi, I'm Steve McGrath, Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
People from all around the world are coming together.
Happy day, beautiful world. We are here in a rather small urban garden, and this video is just to show you the joys that we've had in this garden with the electric gardening.
When news happens in their area, they show us what's really going on.
We have people in the streets protesting for and against.
At United Network News, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Field Messenger Helen reporting with Nature, and I'm going to talk to you about the bees again.
Take the next step in restoring our planet. Become a UNN Field Messenger today.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from South Africa. If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.
Did you know sound can heal disease within your body? David Gibson is a sound healing visionary. He's the top producer of sound healing music in the U.S. and has founded several groups with the intent to stop every disease in the world with sound, music, and vibration. David is back with us, and we're talking about sound healing. David, in our world today, we have a lot of people struggling with cancer. You know, it's one of those big diseases, right? That kind of is just everywhere, it seems, in our world today. And as I understand it, we can actually cure cancer with sound. How does that work?
Well, we got to be careful with this word cure around here.
Yeah.
We can actually, I've seen it happen over and over.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's many different aspects. I mean, a lot of people say that cancer is an emotional issue. In fact, most people that are in the healing field say that emotions are 90 to 100% of the cause of all disease. So it's just a matter of working with the emotions and really getting them out, which is about letting your emotions flow, making the sound of how you're feeling, and really, really not being in fear. The biggest thing about cancer is fear. Wow. The second people get they say they got cancer, then people go into fear, and fear is what kills people. So it's often a matter of getting back in your power. We have a thing that I do where I have people do a really loud no, full on no, to overcome all of these lower emotions of fear and even depression. So it's like, no, right? And that's really helpful. So one thing though, well, the cool thing is the work of Anthony Holland. Okay. Anthony Holland had a TED Talk about 10 years ago. You can find it on YouTube, on where he actually showed 4 different types of cancer being exploded with 4 different electromagnetic frequencies in real time. Yeah. But now Anthony Holland has been in the lab for the last 10 years, and he now has 15 different frequencies that will explode 15 different types of cancer 80% of the time in the lab, and he's got clinical papers to prove it. Wow. Now, he can't do treatments because he doesn't have FDA approval. So we're looking at working together with some funding we have coming in to actually get the FDA approval. So we're talking about very soon having no radiation and no chemo ever again in hospitals.
And you said it's instantaneous, like when that frequency hits? So yes. It's not a long process. You can go in and be treated, in theory, and walk out.
In an hour, no more cancer.
Wow. Right.
But that's really cool. It's kind of light years better than chemo and radiation that practically kills you. Yep. Right. It's way better. Yeah. But you still haven't got at the emotional issue that's causing the cancer in the first place.
That's true.
Right. So it really then comes down to expressing your emotions. I mean, there's one thing we do where we say, okay, make the sound of how you're feeling, and then slowly transform it into a peaceful, stable, consistent vibration like this. I'll demonstrate. Okay, this is my last relationship. Okay, never mind that. Maybe. Okay, cool. Okay, so what's so cool about that is you're starting with authenticity of where you're at. Okay. And then you slowly transform it to a stable, consistent vibration, which is peace. You can add in love. You could go to a sound of love. You could go to a sound of gratitude. You could even go to a sound of source. But just any vowel is peace. So now you're going from that chaos to the actual peaceful vibration. But here's the number one thing of all for that I do for a lot of issues, but especially cancer. Imagine it completely gone. What would it feel like if the cancer is completely gone? Yeah. Might take a minute. Really feel that completely. Then to resonate that even more, make the sound of how that feels. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then that vibration of complete flow goes through your whole body. The body doesn't know any different. So now your immune system goes, oh, cool, no more fear, party. Every single organ works better. And then often that right there, in fact, I've seen it exactly that work really well. But
yeah,
we're
on my mind. That's exactly what I was going to say, is that making the sound is one thing, but feeling it. Do you have to bring in the feeling? That's what I was going to say, and you answered my question there.
Yeah. We're on the threshold of a major transformation in our whole medical system. I mean, we're not just talking about cancer. We're talking about a full range of issues from anxiety to depression, PTSD. I mean, all the different emotional, mental issues, I mean, and physical issues. When you find the frequency of what's right and vibrate it, it makes it healthy. Yeah. If it's a wily cell, you turn the volume up and it explodes it, exactly like ultrasound on kidney stones. Okay. This is well known in the scientific field. It's called destructive resonance. Find its frequency, turn it up, and explode it. Wow. You know, yeah, we're on the way to a whole new world very quickly here.
Sounds of the Ocean is an inspiring project by Joshua Sam Miller that blends art, science, and mindfulness to promote ocean conservation and wellness. By creating immersive auditory experiences, it aims to raise environmental awareness and support ocean conservation efforts. Let's listen to what Joshua has to share about his work.
Sounds of the Ocean is an immersive, mindful experience to connect with the ocean and yourself. We blend together sounds of whales and dolphins with original music, visual art, ocean imagery, and dance performance to immerse you in the depths of the sea. This experience has been inspired by my deep connection to the ocean, growing up a scuba diver in America. I later became interested in surfing and was able to combine everything together in a full performance, connecting music and the ocean to enhance our quality of life here on land. My hopes with creating this project is that it inspires people to care more about the ocean and to build a deeper connection with what is contained within its magic depths. I hope that this project inspires a difference in the world by hosting events that welcome the public to come and connect with the ocean at a performance, film screening, or sound installation. These events often have some type of a partnership with a nonprofit organization to get people involved in local ocean action. We've hosted several beach cleanups, for example, and have raised awareness and funds to support plastic removal from the ocean and rivers wherever we tour.
Museum therapy, a rapidly growing non-medical treatment, is gaining popularity in cities worldwide, including Paris, Brussels, Singapore, and Montreal. Programs offer over 10 days of art therapy monthly, providing patients with museum prescriptions from doctors, making this a unique form of treatment. This innovative approach includes exposing people to beauty and culture while creating artwork themselves to heal. Participants include people with Alzheimer's, drug users, autistic children, and cancer patients. The program's development involved collaboration amongst city officials, museums, doctors, and hospitals to build awareness and demand. Museums can take people away from their problems for a while as they experience culture and their own creativity. With strong evidence of its success and with low costs, museum therapy is part of a bigger movement of social prescribing in 30 countries worldwide. In Philadelphia, a new initiative called the Reforestation Hub is creating job opportunities for young adults by turning fallen trees into usable products. This hub diverts waste from landfills by transforming fallen trees first into wood chips and then into building materials. The eco-friendly wood produced is then repurposed into various products like flooring and furniture, which boosts the industry and economy of the area. 15% of all sales go toward funding tree planting and maintenance efforts aimed at revitalizing the city's green spaces. The hub also provides job training for young adults, offering them valuable skills in sustainable construction and new employment options. The Reforestation Hub is growing a greener future for Philadelphia. We are United Network News. Every day, we release real stories from real people all over the world.
Field Messenger reporting from Gold Coast, Australia.
Denmark,
Canada.
Uganda.
From Atlanta. In Southern California.
In their own words, people like you share what's really happening in their area. At UNN, you are the news. You are creating a new world with infinite possibilities. You are the restoration plan. Come join us for the real news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on United Network. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news. At least 3 protesters have been killed in Kaduna State, Nigeria, during demonstrations against rising living costs and governance issues. Significant protests erupted in major cities, including the capital and Lagos, with eyewitnesses reporting police used tear gas to disperse the crowds. Protesters are unhappy about economic reforms that have resulted in rampant inflation, leaving many struggling to make ends meet. They demand the reinstatement of fuel and electricity subsidies, free education, and measures to combat insecurity. The situation is further compounded by widespread insecurity affecting livelihoods, particularly in the agricultural sector, where kidnappings for ransom have become increasingly common. Labor unions have historically led protests, but this march saw a significant turnout from unemployed youth, highlighting growing discontent with government policies. Tanzania is forcibly evicting indigenous communities from their ancestral lands. That's according to a recent report. The government has relocated more than 82,000 people to a village approximately 600 kilometers, or about 370 miles away. Tensions have escalated between local authorities and affected communities, leading to violent confrontations. Interviews reveal the government has not acquired the free and informed consent of the affected residents regarding the relocation plan. Many residents reported violations of their rights to land, education, health, and compensation. Reports show security personnel have resorted to violence during the relocation, with documented cases of residents being assaulted. Advocates argue the government must prioritize the rights and well-being of these indigenous groups, calling for a reassessment of the current relocation strategy. African nations are facing major challenges due to rising bond debts, and low credit ratings, which hinder their development. Many sub-Saharan countries like Ghana and Kenya have credit ratings below investment grade, making it difficult for them to access financing. Ghana has struggled after defaulting on its debt, worsening its financial situation during the COVID-19 pandemic. As governments prioritize paying off debts over development projects, critics argue relying on high-interest bonds leads to unsustainable financial practices. The African Union has proposed establishing an Africa-based credit rating agency to challenge perceived biases from major international agencies, which often overlook local economic contexts. While this initiative aims to enhance Africa's financial reputation, current ratings from established agencies are still vital for attracting investment in large development projects. Bolivia is on the brink of becoming Latin America's riskiest sovereign debtor, impacting its citizens' lives. Recent political turmoil has led to economic downturns and critical shortages of essential goods. With rising investor concerns, interest rates on Bolivian bonds have skyrocketed, exceeding those of traditional defaulters like Ecuador and Argentina. This situation has strained households, as a fixed exchange rate and large current account deficits have depleted dollar reserves. A black market for dollars has emerged, with currency trading at 50% above the official rate, making imports, including subsidized fuel, increasingly difficult. Civilians are seeing military deployments at gas stations to curb smuggling, highlighting the crisis's severity. Political divisions, especially between current and former leaders, have stalled crucial reforms needed for economic recovery, affecting public services and stability. Australia is facing a growing homelessness crisis, particularly amongst those approaching retirement. Many individuals find themselves unable to secure stable housing due to soaring rents and limited availability. Recent reports indicate the demand for social housing far exceeds the supply, leaving many on wait lists for years. Critics argue the current market conditions favor landlords, leading to increased rent despite many tenants experiencing financial strain. Charities are stepping up efforts to provide essential services, including food, clothing, and medical support amidst growing demand. The government has proposed measures to address this crisis, including funding for new housing construction, but advocates stress more urgent reforms are necessary to protect vulnerable populations and create affordable housing solutions. Also in Australia, period poverty is impacting women across various income levels, significantly affecting those with disabilities and Indigenous communities. A recent survey reveals many women struggle to afford essential menstrual products, with a substantial number resorting to makeshift solutions due to cost restraints. A considerable portion of participants reported missing school, work, or sports due to pain and financial barriers associated with their periods. The issue is particularly pronounced in rural areas where access to affordable products is even more challenging. Experts emphasize changing disposable products regularly is crucial for health, yet many are forced to extend usage beyond recommended periods. Although some workplaces and schools are beginning to offer free menstrual products, access remains limited. A recent study has revealed a significant decline in broadcast television viewership amongst young audiences in the UK. Less than half of 16 to 24-year-olds are tuning in weekly, down from 76% in 2018. This shift highlights a growing preference for video sharing platforms like YouTube and TikTok, where Gen Z and younger audiences engage for 3 times longer than with traditional TV. The trend poses challenges for UK broadcasters who rely on advertising as they face increasing competition from streaming services. Meanwhile, older audiences continue to favor traditional TV, with nearly all viewers older than 65 watching on a weekly basis. While the decline in young viewers appears to be stabilizing, analysts believe the impact on broadcasters will persist, prompting companies like the BBC to implement job cuts in response to changing viewer habits. 2 million more people in the European Union, or EU, were unable to afford vacations in 2022 compared to the previous year. That's according to a new study. While many are preparing for summer holidays, millions are left without the means to take time off, which raises concerns about workers' well-being and burnout. The rise in holiday poverty was most pronounced in France, where nearly 5 million people were unable to take a holiday. Ireland saw a notable 4% increase in these cases, reflecting a growing challenge across the region. Stress in the workplace is a prevalent issue, and the EU emphasizes the right to disconnect as crucial for improving work-life balance and mental health. The study highlights how the ability to afford a holiday is a key indicator of material and social well-being within the bloc. Meta Platforms has agreed to pay $1.4 billion to the state of Texas to settle a lawsuit over the unlawful collection of facial recognition data from millions of Texans. This settlement, the largest of its kind secured by any state, comes after Texas accused Facebook of capturing biometric information billions of times through a feature known as tag suggestions. The legal team representing Texas highlighted the state's commitment to holding major technology firms accountable for privacy violations. Meanwhile, Meta continues to deny any wrongdoing, emphasizing its intention to explore future investment opportunities in Texas, including the development of data centers. The settlement follows a similar $650 million agreement by Meta in 2020 related to biometric privacy in Illinois. A hazardous accident involving a semi-truck transporting lithium-ion batteries resulted in the closure of northbound I-15 near Baker, California for 2 days. The crash occurred just before last weekend, blocking access to Las Vegas. While the California Highway Patrol initially hoped to reopen one lane by noon Saturday, hazardous material crews deemed the situation too dangerous due to a still burning battery fire. Drivers were advised to avoid northbound travel and consider alternative routes using the 40 freeway. Heavy traffic has caused delays of nearly 2.5 hours on that route. Many drivers have found themselves stranded, leading emergency services to assist with water and support at rest stops. GPS navigation systems provided misleading routes, directing drivers onto unpaved roads, complicating the matter further. Now, one of our field messengers, Nancy, was stuck in that traffic jam and shows us what it was like.
Hi, this is Nancy, Field Messenger Report with United Network News in a major traffic jam in California. Today is July 26th, and what is happening is on the I-15 going to Vegas, northbound, there is a chemical spill and a lithium batteries, many of them are on fire, so they have closed that road. I-15 north and south, and so we were rerouted to a parallel road to 40. We are heading back because look at this. This is unreal, just from that spill and the lithium batteries being burned. So just wanted to let you know, real news happening now.
The U.S. Department of Transportation has proposed a rule aimed at eliminating fees charged by airlines for families wanting to sit together. If implemented, the rule would allow parents to sit next to their children under 14 at no extra cost, significantly easing the stress of flying with young ones. This change could save a family of 4 up to $200 in seat fees for a round trip, and I have some experience with that. Current regulations vary by airline, but only 4, which are Alaska, American, Frontier, and JetBlue, guarantee free seating for children alongside adults. The proposal comes as part of a broader effort to reduce junk fees in the airline industry, which has seen pushback from carriers. The Department of Transportation will accept public comments for 60 days before finalizing the rule. Mexico is intensifying its efforts toward food sovereignty, aiming to end the reliance on genetically modified or GM corn imports from the U.S. As Mexico plans to ban GM corn cultivation, it aims to prioritize domestic production of non-GM white corn for human consumption, a move expected to impact rural communities and local farmers significantly. The proposed agricultural policies are designed to bolster local maize production while safeguarding healthier food options for citizens. However, this has led to potential legal conflicts with the U.S., raising concerns of retaliatory tariffs that could burden Mexican consumers and disrupt the market. As U.S. corn imports continue to rise, many worry about the implications for local agriculture and food prices. Experts have pointed out farmers are struggling financially and need more support from the government. A political party in Bangladesh, Jamaat-e-Islami, has been banned along with its student wing and affiliate organizations, which authorities labeled as militant and terrorist. This decision is part of a crackdown after weeks of violent protests resulted in more than 200 fatalities and significant injuries. The government has been accused of suppressing dissent, as thousands have been arrested amidst rising tensions over government job quotas. Critics argue the ban is an attempt to divert attention from the unrest and ongoing political turmoil. The situation has led to widespread condemnation from various sectors, with claims the government's actions have incited further violence rather than resolve the issues at hand. Although the party has been inactive in elections since 2013 due to previous bans, this latest action raises concerns about further oppression of political opposition and civil society. Japan's tourism sector is seeing a surge in foreign arrivals, which has led to some restaurants to implement two-tiered pricing structures. These restaurants are charging higher rates for foreign customers while offering discounts to locals and residents. Such practices have sparked debate within the hospitality sector, with concerns about potential discrimination. Experts suggest while it may be reasonable to charge foreigners standard prices reflective of their home countries, implementing different prices on menus could generate resentment. Some officials support charging tourists more, citing needs like heritage conservation and enhanced services. Critics argue transparency and fairness should guide any pricing strategies, emphasizing extra charges should be justified by the quality of the experience offered. A new restaurant in Singapore is making waves by featuring insects on its menu after the local food authority approved 16 species for human consumption. The establishment has introduced dishes like fish head curry paired with crunchy crickets and tofu that appears to have bugs crawling out of it. Customers have responded positively, eager to capture the unique culinary experience for social media. The restaurant plans to expand its menu to 30 insect-based dishes once importers are approved. Despite the cultural barriers around eating insects, experts believe they present a sustainable protein source, particularly as the country aims to increase local food production. Insects must be farmed in controlled environments and are subject to strict safety regulations. While the cost of insect-based dishes remains higher than traditional protein sources, some diners express willingness to embrace this alternative. We have an exciting new announcement. We have launched a new global TV service specifically for the UNN community. Thousands of live TV channels, 60,000 movies on demand, over 30 languages, and live sports from around the globe. Between all the separate streaming services and cable for live TV and sports packages, it could cost well over $200 a month. But now with United TV, you can have it all for only $15.99 a month. Go to unitedtv.org and check it out. Get so much more for so much less.
And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. You have heard of Echelon, but have you ever heard of Skynet? The deep state thought they had an ace in the hole until it failed on Thursday. And major efforts to restart the war in the Middle East were well underway today, and just in time for the new moon during Lionsgate. All this and more in today's World Situation Report.
Now here's the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan in the Office of the Guardian.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I'm so sorry again for getting this out late. It's been an all-out war, and you've probably seen a lot of information on the internet about that. But today we're going to talk a little bit about the backstory and why now and what the deep state is trying to achieve, even if they don't know what they're trying to achieve. But we're going to tell you here. Okay, first of all, I want to talk a little bit about Skynet. So Skynet is a U.S. National Security Agency program in part. And in part, China has their own version of Skynet. So what happened over the last couple of days is China attempts to take its Skynet program to a whole nother level. In the U.S., on, let's just say, mainstream news and on the internet, they claim that Skynet is a learning analysis program that has the ability to extract information and to locate terrorist threats and suspects and so on and so forth. They claim that it is used as part of the U.S. Strategic Defense Initiative. Then they also put on the internet that in August 4th, 1997, Skynet begins to rapidly learn and eventually becomes self-aware, which means it's making decisions on its own based on information that is put into the system. They claim that it became self-aware officially at 2:14 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, August 29th, 1997. Now, Skynet for the U.S. is a heck of a lot more than just a terrorist threat detector. Unless by terrorist threats, they're basically saying that all American citizens are terrorist threats. It also makes different types of strategic defense AI assessments based on who they put in as their enemy. So the information that goes in, they'll give them more information out. But it was also a program that was run and tied to Omega, as a matter of fact. So remember, Omega had the capability to read consciousness and do a lot of different things that it unto itself and by itself can't do. However, they were still using this program to detect terrorist threats, I laugh at that, and to analyze any type of data that the Department of Defense, Langley 5, NSA, whoever wanted to use it, would use it for, and also, hacking attempts, those types of things. It would give them possible solutions to their attempts to hack into systems and those kind of things. So that's what the internet version is of it in the short version. Now, in 2005, China created its mass surveillance system. They also call Skynet. Allegedly, it's not a part of what the U.S. uses it for. But here is what's on the internet, coincidentally, about China and what they use it for. They say that they have used it to track feminists and LGBTQ plus community members to increase scrutiny. They claim that they have used it in attempts to take over the entire region of Tibet. They claim that anyone that had gone against China taking over the Tibet region would be considered a dissident. They were closely monitored, and a lot more than closely monitored once they located these people. So it was something that was used to determine anyone going against Chinese agenda, China's agendas, whatever those agendas might be. And we know they're, let's just say, very extensive lately. Okay, next, they heavily use Skynet to monitor all kinds of mobile phone apps, so like WeChat and Telegram and those types of things, and they will actually locate and arrest or report citizens who are violating, let's just say, that whatever they consider to be a violation. They also have partnered with some other companies recently, over the last several years, like Megvii, who also specializes in facial recognition. They are also a larger part of the social crediting program and those types of things. And they even state on the internet that, let's see, and I'll quote the article here. As of 2018, the most notable surveillance mechanisms were mass camera surveillance on streets, internet surveillance, and newly invented surveillance methods based on social crediting and identity. Wow, isn't that interesting? They're not talking about your credit score. They even admit in 2018, 1 year before the pandemic, that they were already attempting to and somewhat using a social crediting program on all of their citizens. Isn't that lovely? Next, they also talk about the launching, also in 2018, of surveillance drones and robot police and targeting social media platforms as well. Now, surveillance drones, they're talking about actual drones that fly throughout major cities all over China to surveil its citizens, especially people who have been known to, let's just say, be violators of whatever China considers to be a violation, which could be anyone against their agenda, anyone who speaks out against the government. You know, it's a little bit crazy, and it sounds like something from a sci-fi movie, and that's probably because it is. Talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes here. But they talk about testing a larger market, also further in some of these articles. And this is just information that you can find on the internet. They estimate by the end of 2021 that there'll be somewhere around 770 million surveillance cameras, not only in the U.S., but all over the world, tied to China's Skynet program. Pretty scary, isn't it? So that's what China calls, at least on the internet, their surveillance program. So it's also called Skynet. Now, if you are an avid movie fan and been around on this earth for a while, you'll probably remember a little movie called The Terminator. I think they even quote "I'll be back" as like the most quoted movie quote of all time. But they also talk about in that movie a program called Skynet. Now, in the movie, they talk about Skynet being a revolutionary artificial intelligence system that's built by a company called Cyberdyne Systems for the SAC-NORAD. They talk about it in the film as being a defense network computer, new, powerful, hooked into everything, trusted to run it all. They say it got smart, a new order of intelligence. Now, this was in 1984, and even the U.S. basically said that it didn't become artificial intelligence and start to think for itself until 1997. Wonder where Skynet came from and how long it's been out there. So it basically said, at one point in the movie, Skynet actually saw all humans as a threat, not just the ones on the other side, and decided our fate in a microsecond: extermination. It began with a nuclear war, which destroyed most of the human population and initiated a program of genocide against survivors. Skynet used its resources to gather a slave labor force from surviving humans after the nuclear war. Very interesting. Bit of information. If we thought Echelon was a threat and them spying on us in our homes and those kind of things wasn't bad enough, now we have an actual AI that, when it was attached to Omega, could have actually just switched any human it felt as a threat off. Now, we've learned a little bit, at least what they're putting out on the internet for this podcast purpose, I guess you would say, about what China currently is using it for. You know, they've even deployed drones to attack its own citizens if they step out of line or are in violation of whatever China thinks is a violation. Now, that means anything could be a violation. And now that this thing has started to learn on its own, and has been for quite a while, imagine what the reintroduction of its, let's just say, of Archon programs and a connection back to Omega could have done if it was following China's guidelines. And this is, of course, a China deep state thing, just like it's a U.S. deep state thing. Most of Skynet's activities were used by very high-end SSP operatives, and that would be on a very high end. Could they use Skynet to interfere with your cell phones, send out frequencies, to cause cancer, to do all kinds of things to U.S. citizens with this, and eventually, if they had their way, to all citizens around the world? The answer is absolutely yes. And have they done that? Yes, they have. And the failure to launch China's aspect of Skynet worldwide on Thursday afternoon was a huge win for the world. Now, they still think that Omega is going to gain some power during this Lionsgate and that their demon friends are coming back. And that's part of the reason why they decided to try to launch it on Thursday. Technically, their information from Skynet said the appropriate time would be on the 6th of August. This is when it said it would be ready. But China was running out of time and has been running out of time for a long time. So they decided to try to launch it early and to attach a social crediting financial system to it. Yeah, that didn't quite work out. Without the power of Omega behind it, without the ability to attach itself to archons and so on and so forth, it was a complete and utter failure. And not only that, I'm proud to say I participated in that failure and will continue to participate in multiple failures when it looks like we have an attempted AI system that is supposed to determine a human's fate remotely. Which is something we know they've been able to do for a long time. Next, today, when it failed, they tried to hack into a very old system that was a remnant, if you will, of Omega, which was Marduk's. It did not belong to a human. A human has never had access to it, and it was his Nibiru, when it was around, Archon control system. For those of you that don't know, there is not just one Nibiru, there is 9 Nibirus, and each one contains a giant ball of archons. It is not a planet where aliens hailed from, benevolent or otherwise. It was completely and totally a program that was, it was a giant ball of archons. You could not walk on this. None of that was actually going to happen onto planet Nibiru. It was, if it ever did crash into the into the world, I should say, we would have been in serious trouble. But that didn't stop a company called WEI Labs, WEI Laboratories, that are based in the U.S., although they are a China-born company, from trying to hack into this line and try to gain control of archons within humans so that it could eventually try to reboot this Skynet program, which they thought was going to happen in the next few days, and relaunch it. I have to tell you, over the next few days, the past few days, I'm sorry, there have been a lot of things that have gone on in the last few days, and a lot of them you're seeing in the news. But nothing, in my opinion, was as scary as the deep state getting a hold of Skynet, or fully launching its full capability if it had attached to Omega. Now, anytime they saw an influx of darkness, because there's still some remnants that, and it's very minor, but they come and go during this time of Lionsgate, because it used to belong to the dark. There also was a push, as I had told you, from some demons from hell, so to speak, to add to that program and try to relaunch Omega, not for the benefit of the dumb deep state humans, but for their own benefit to take over this planet. Skynet would have been part of that program, which is why they were told not to launch it till August 6th. But every single thing that starts to activate, so to speak, pretty much is taken out within an hour of it actually activating, and it never even gets off the ground. So, you know, these people are totally wasting their time. But that did not stop them from coming up with a grandiose plan over the last few days to really ramp up a war in the Middle East to try to still transmute that light energy coming in into dark energy so that it could open up various portals in the world, everywhere from in Russia to that's southern Russia and their old deep underground military base, to Israel, to, they've been to several different locations. There's a few in the United States, the Mormon temple at the base of the mountain, not the one in Salt Lake, but there's another one there. I'm trying to remember the name of it. But underneath that facility, there's no surprise there, and to other locations here in the U.S., in Idaho, and also in Nevada, in Arizona, under the Grand Canyon, and a few others, and I'll try to get you the list. I've really been pushing to try to make sure that, we have as few people that lose their lives because of their ridiculousness in the Middle East right now. And I've spent most of my day doing that. So it's been, basically me and a few against the world at this point in time, because they are pulling together everything. So there's no surprise that they are doing that this weekend. For those of you that don't know, early Sunday morning is a new moon, and which they're hoping that this new moon during Lionsgate will actually catapult them into a world full of darkness where we're taken back over by Anti-Source or Satan or Lucifer or insert demon name here. And it's not really working out. So they had to try to do something, and that something, despite telling everybody, they've told NATO it's over the oil pipeline near Gaza. They've told this to you, Ukraine, and then Ukraine starts droning Russia. It's all a bunch of lies. And at the top, whatever's left of it, they probably have more knowledge of why they're doing this than anyone else, especially since the SSP was manning all these locations, even some in New Zealand, some in Antarctica. They were everywhere today, all day long, hoping for some glimmer of hope that their dark ones will come back and then they will be in charge. I guess that's what they think they're going to be. I don't know. But let's talk a little bit about the Middle East. So one of the things that I've been telling you is that these Hamas leaders that are allegedly dead, the president of Iran, there was a helicopter crash a few months back, and those are things that have been happening. Well, during the days, the last 48 hours specifically, Iran has taken many, many phone calls from China's deep state. We can call them the China of the Middle East at this moment in time. Mainly due to fake Khomeini that's there and whomever that takes orders from the Chinese deep state in their Skynet agenda. They were actually informed a few days ago that this Skynet program was going to go live, and they were going to be a part of it, and they were going to be in control of all of their citizens in Iran as well. This was what they're telling those people. Were not, at least not all of the workers, so to speak, in the military, that would be their generals and whatnot, were definitely not read in on the fact that their people that they're avenging their death for are still alive. But throughout the course of watching Iran offer to provide at least the top 1/3 of the African continent, every single country, weaponry in order to join the fight against Israel. Now, why would non-Islamic countries be willing to join the fight against Israel? Well, for those of you that don't know, pretty much every African in every African country is aware of a company called the Anglo-American Company. Number one. Number two, everybody pretty much on the African continent is aware that the Mossad is even more prevalent than the CIA throughout the entire continent. Next, everybody on the whole continent is aware of, the Europeans coming in. Most of the ones that were sent in were on behalf of Rothschild, Oppenheimer. They are still sending bars of gold every day on KLM flights straight to Germany on behalf of the deep state and not giving the countries anything. Also, if you are from Angola, then you're aware that your diamonds are still sitting in Dubai, and you've never been paid for them if you are an Angolan general. So it was pretty easy for Iran to start dialing for dollars, and it wasn't just Iran. There were other countries as well provoking them and promising them a lot of different things should they join in the fight. But I was tracking a particular plane going from Iran to North Sudan, who had already agreed, allegedly, to avenge, these leaders' deaths, at least the Islamic part of the country there, along with its leaders. So in the course of tracking these weapons that Iran had been sending out, and there are a few other countries that were providing weapons as well, but Iran was pretty big, especially throughout the northern part of the continent due to Khomeini's influence, or fake Khomeini's influence. I was checking with some contacts of mine because it's kind of hard to get a lot of intel from some of these areas because they're pretty remote. And so my contact called me back, and I'm just going to leave it as my contact because I don't want to put this person on the radar. He's definitely does a lot of work on behalf of the African continent, many different countries. He's from that continent, spends a lot of time there. He also spends a lot of time traveling around the world, looking for technologies and things that can be used on the continent. So he's got a really good heart for the African people, being an African himself. So he calls me back, and here's what he had to say.
So just so you know, my intel guys substantiate what you're saying about Belize. There's a government official there that has been bringing in guys from Lebanon. They're training over there. They're getting Belizean passports so that they could pass into America. So that operation has been ongoing for a while. They're keeping tracks on them and obviously plan to interrupt that and disrupt that. So everything that you're saying is matching up with that.
Yep, there you have it, folks. Even from someone that is not me, that is a person that is involved, nice to say, heavily involved with affairs throughout the African continent in at least 20 to 25 countries, that has now confirmed that little tidbit of information. The rest of the information I left out simply because it's a lot of its operations in progress, and we're trying to keep the northern part of the African continent from participating in Chinese deep state shenanigans. So, but yeah, that proves to you there that there are a lot of leaders that they say are dead, whether it's Iranian officials, or I shouldn't say they're officials, but people that are high-ranking in groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. They're all fine. They're sipping cocktails on the beach in Belize, just kind of chilling out over there until their passports come through, in which time they intend to move into America because that is what the Americans have promised them. Isn't that great? How the U.S. claims that the Houthis, as an example, is a terrorist organization. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization. The leaders from the Pentagon have gone on national television and said how the Hamas is a terrorist organization. But yet, hey, let's give them all passports and help them come into America. Wow, isn't that a wonderful U.S. government we have here? There's your deep state hard at work, spending your taxpayer dollars. And now you know what they're spending them on, helping terrorist organizations reformulate here in the United States. But to be fair, with 100% certainty, a lot of this has been arranged between China's deep state toadies here in the U.S., known as the entire White House administration, most of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, whether they know it or not, 3/4 of the operatives, and everyone else that's trying to implode the economy here in the U.S. So now you've heard it from somebody else's mouth, let's just say fairly high ranking throughout the continent. Yeah, so today we heard from a few other people. Speaking of U.S. economy, you probably did see a drop in the market today. It's not a really high percentage, but the reason for the drop in the market is because they have been propping it up over the last couple of weeks. They failed to get any money out of Act Blue because Act Blue doesn't have any money anymore. And the next thing was, well, we can drop the market, and Berkshire Hathaway and, of course, Soros and all the big hedge funds will certainly donate a few $1 million here and there to our war campaign in the Middle East. And that they did. So they dropped the market a little bit. I mean, it wasn't quite even $100 million. I think it was somewhere around 70-something million dollars was extracted from the market, and that'll buy them 48 hours worth of war in the Middle East if they actually spend it on that. They're probably going to give people down payments and promise them that Skynet is still going to launch and going to be the new system of all of Earth, and we are going to be used as human slave workers. Won't that be lovely? Not a chance. Not on our watch anyway. Okay, so other games that have been going on today. So as all of this weaponry moves into these various countries, we track it, we trace it, and we, let's just say, terminate it. That has been going on not only with myself, but also with some contacts of mine, and of course our friends with the UPU and the Enforcer. So we definitely have Sky Command there in the Middle East, watching everything that's going on, and firing when it does not cause loss of life, because that is the only thing that we're mainly concerned about. There are a lot of innocents participating in this game that's going on there, and we have to make sure that we're preventing the most loss of life as we possibly can during this time when the deep state is, I call it manistration. They're manistrating there in the Middle East. Hopefully, once their Lionsgate game is over, there'll be no point. Nobody got paid yet, even for the Gaza situation, but yet everybody still rallied for the deep state brouhaha. Now, let's talk about meetings that are going on over the next few days. So as this situation progresses over there, everybody was due to be paid some money today, big money from China. So much so that China and the Rothschilds have been fighting because neither one of them has achieved this task. They also had various U.S. Treasury officials flying all over Europe, all over UK, all over the place, being forced, some of them at gunpoint, to do their job. They were supposed to get any money to fund this operations or get some kind of control over the financial system. And the insiders that we talked to basically told us with 100% certainty they failed at every turn. However, they still have to go and they still have to try because most of them are being held at gunpoint, and you know, it's not, these people are not nice people. So they do whatever they ask them to do, and then it just doesn't work, and at least it's the computer system basically saying it's not working, and it's not them. So everywhere they pretty much turn, they've failed to raise any money. Part of the reason for that is because a lot of the people that are doing the alleged raising have never been involved actually in the running of any financial system anywhere, not on this planet or on another one, number one. And number two, that includes, and I'm going to say that includes, the Order of the Dragon and the Rothschild family and the other families that are involved with them that make up the Order of the Dragon. So this is why every single thing they try doesn't work, why there's never any money coming out of there. See, the unfortunate part is the lies, you know, and the compartmentalization runs deep. The Order of the Black Sun and the Duck Dynasty operatives and those people have never run a financial system, never been involved in anything other than an economic assassination, and don't know actually how to build a country. They may have had some training and some information from people like the World Bank, the IMF, and those people, because they needed to use them to economically assassinate countries. However, economically assassinating a country when you have an alien race helping you is not that hard to do. However, if you're economically assassinating a country and you don't have the backing of those that run the system, then you would have failed during the USSR days. You would have failed with every other country. And your math there at the IMF is incorrect. These are things that the deep state fails to recognize. There was always someone behind them or something behind them helping them with every job they did. And I know their egos will never allow them to admit that, but that is a fact. And without that help of a major AI system, Skynet's dead, but that's not even a major AI. I'm talking about your Omega system that was run and controlled always by non-humans. You had a little access to it, or the deep state had a little access to it. Heck, you had a little access to it if you've got bank accounts, if you've ever used a cell phone, you had access to it. Probably they had a little bit more access than you, but, it was out there for sure, in the past. But these are all things that they fail to recognize. So you've got the Order of the Dragon families who, for some reason, the Order of the Black Sun, whatever's left of it, thinks that they were in control of the financial system, which is an absolute 100% lie. The other side is under the impression that those people started many wars, finished many wars, won many wars, therefore they keep ordering them to go to war, and they can't go to war right either. None of this is working. The money's not coming on the one side. The wars aren't working on the other side. And let's just say with a little help from our friends, they'll never work. Why isn't the gate opening? That's what at the top they're talking about. We know all about the aliens. We're the SSP. We're the SSP generals. We're the big guys. That's what I keep hearing, right? They know everything that the aliens do. They can track dark matter and dark energy better than anyone else on this planet. Well, not really, guys, because I can track it just fine also. And I also see it as a threat. Therefore, when I see it coming in, it's terminated. So that's why you see it, and now you don't. But for these people, the failure to achieve their objective is not based on a treasury agent. It's not based on some guy from China. It's not based on the fact that you people can't run a war. It's the fact that you've never done this before. It's your first day on the job of world domination. And you're really trying, and I understand that, and I can appreciate that fact. However, you still need to get the training wheels off your bike. And you're never going to be able to do that at this rate. And definitely not without me. And me watching you, I'm not seeing much of a value in spending any money in anything related to what you're doing at this moment in time, because, hey, you don't look like you're trying to achieve any objective. You certainly look like you're power hungry and you're not going anywhere, and you're sort of running operations around in circles trying to sell Trump Bitcoin sneakers and shot glasses, with fight on them. I mean, I don't really see the point, in participating in your world. And I've done government funding and, off and on for a period of about 10 years, and I'm not doing it anymore. Can you see my frustration? I know that this is a question that keeps coming up over and over again. Will she fund the Pentagon? Will she fund the government? The answer to the question is 10 years I did it. And what did you guys do for me? And what did you do for the people of this planet? And that's not only the United States, that's South Africa, that's Russia, that's China, that's other governments also. That's also in part the UK. And look how far you are. If you're a citizen of any one of these countries, you tell me how our trillions of dollars was spent. And I can tell you right now, not one of you will raise your hand and say, on us, the citizens of this country. Some of you will say our infrastructure has fallen apart, especially if you're from the United States. we've seen nothing from these people whatsoever. So I just kind of consider it a useless, overpriced, it's kind of like the audience at the Oprah show. They sort of kind of participate a little bit in what goes on, but they don't really do anything. Like they don't make the show run. They're not running the cameras. They're not doing the things. And that's how I see all of you. You guys are the ones at the Oprah show that are running the cameras and, the guests, and you're talking and you're participating and you're, maybe educating people on your life experiences or whatever's going on in this particular show we're trying to talk about. But you're actually doing it. And that's the most important thing. And a lot of you are doing it even before we do anything, before care comes. Nobody's waiting. I see hemp seeds going out for clothing and for, housing supplies. I mean, I get your messages. I see the updates, to make housing building blocks in less fortunate countries where they can do it very inexpensively with hemp. But they're already growing the plants. They're already done it. Maybe it was a feat unto itself to get it through customs, but they managed to do it and things are moving on. I see all kinds of people doing things every single day, including us trying to make changes and differences and preparing for what's about to happen in the future. I don't see governments doing anything except going around in circles dependent on a bunch of people that are sending them to a slaughter. And they're sending them to a slaughter if you're with the deep state, because all the people that have been slaughtered even in the last 48 hours. And that's not our people. That's not the average everyday citizens necessarily of the Middle East now, is it? No, it is not. So probably for me, I need to get back to work because I need to make sure and see what's going on out there right now. I just got some information about an explosion in Damascus. They're kind of gone on the cheap now. They're sort of doing car bombs and those kind of things, but I still need to check on it because of who they're alleging was assassinated, who will probably end up in Belize by the end of the weekend. So back to work for me. I hope the rest of you have a wonderful Friday night if you're in the U.S., and a good morning if you're in Australia, so and all parts in between. But have a lovely night and a lovely weekend, and I will hopefully have more of an update for you on Monday as to the unfolding situation in the Middle East. So thank you so much. Take care and have a great weekend.
Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. Connect with us through our online channels. Our social media team creates clips from each newscast you can easily share with people you care about. That's also where you'll find our UNN Meme of the Day, a great way to encourage critical thinking. Links to all our social media sites are available at the bottom of our website at unitednetwork.earth. Let's change the face of news together.
And that wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our planet. When news happens in your area, record and share it with us so together we can share it with the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.